Traders, welcome back to another Relentless recap. Guys, Relentless Trader fell asleep, now waking up. These last 2 weeks have been interesting, man. I've been waking up around 1 a.m. and not being able to go back to sleep until like 4 or 5 a.m. I don't know, it's the weirdest thing ever. The last 2 weeks, I would say it's been happening. But yeah, anyhow, that's besides the point, right? It doesn't help that I had a red day today, right? Sleeping away. Trying to get this recap out here around 6 p.m. now. Guys, red day recap for Relentless. So you might say, hey, RT, how are you red in the first place? How in the world are you red? What went wrong? You're down $700, buddy. Guys, it was a pretty solid day, but we had some issues here and there that we could have avoided on my side, and then on the side of the market, a lack of follow through in some of the key areas that I like. So the day started off with a great read, man. A great read, but I did a poor job holding my position on SMMT. I'm watching at it here. Initially, we got a low of 130, and it seems like somebody's buying. It breaks down below 30, and it does a reclaim, and immediately I notice it, and I buy long. I'm in at 30 and 32 for this reclaim, 6,000. So here's my mistake. I should have took more size one. I think I should have went to 9,000 here. And I needed to do a good job holding. If I'm in, even with the 6,000 that I'm in, if I'm selling the first position soon, I need to be holding the other half and unwinding. And I tried to do that right here. I sold at 34 very quickly to lock something up in case we saw a false break. And right here, I threw out this order here on the ask at 31.09, and immediately I realized, no, I want to cancel that sell, and I want to unwind the trade. So I kind of was lagging mentally, like a split second, and in me trying to cancel this trade, I have Shift Z, Shift X, Shift C. Shift Z to buy, Shift X to sell, Shift C to cancel. In me trying to cancel this order, I'm going to accidentally hit the wrong hotkey here. And I ended up going short. So, luckily I came out flat, but still, I wanted to be in 3,000 and selling in 500 share blocks going higher, which you guys saw me do over the last couple of days a ton of times. So I had a hotkey error, but if this trade was to be perfect, I'd have been in 9,000. I would have sold the first one at 34, sold the other one maybe 36, and then wait a little bit on the last third of the position. But we kind of botched it selling so soon, right? Then our next trade idea comes right here around 136, where I did try to fire off my hotkey, but I did not click it hard enough. This is totally on me. I think when I'm a little uncertain, I'm not firm with my keyboard. And so right here, although noticing a bit of a bottom 36, I wasn't as aggressive to just slam it and get in. So that's on me. I missed a trade there from 36 to, let's say, if I'm in at 37, let's assume I get a higher fill 1 cent. And instead of coming out at the highs of 43, let's say I'm out at 42. That would have been a 5-cent trade, which would have been 150. If the day is really starting off well for me in terms of executing the trade idea, if I do take the 6,000, I hold a little bit longer, probably up 300 plus another 150 right there. Let's say we're up 450 to start the day. It's not that bad, but then here comes the first loss, right? We didn't execute as well. We're only up about 140 instead of 450 or something like that, and then we take the first loss right here. So I thought this was the first pullback. Green, red candle, low of 36. We open, we push up to a high of 43. Resistance potentially at 45, yes, we hit a high of 44. And so it comes down here on the 5-minute at the time with light volume. So we went up in our green candle here, 7 million shares. We pulled back at the time I was buying this pullback at 33 and 32. Was it 32? I'm buying at 34 and 33. I was buying with about less than 1 million shares of selling volume at the time. But as soon as I bought, it started crashing down, flushing hard. I said, no can do'sville. So I took the loss in at 33 out of 25. My stop in this trade was at 30. But when I saw 30, I didn't panic out of the trade. I tried to give it a chance, but it just continued lower. It was not strong whatsoever. And at this point is where I guess it would be safe to say that we started to reject this 45 level. The way how it was pulling back initially, I thought it was looking good. And we can even look at the live stream here. I do have level 2 of this. So here we go. We came up, right, and watch this. Let's mute the audio actually. So let's look at how it comes down, right? So this candle here put just about 1 million shares in, right? And so I'm watching, I'm waiting, and the reason, what I'm really looking at is not the 1 minute, but the 5 minute profile. I'm looking at this super big volume bar going up, super small volume coming down. So right now we're probably at, let's say, what is this? Even if we want to put this on the higher side, and we can check it, right, relative to what that last volume was. Let's see. So right here we had 1.2 and 1.2, and at the time, what was this, about 1.5, right? So I felt like the volume looked pretty good. Well, I thought it was less than 1 million, so it doesn't seem like it was less than 1 million. So I'm in 6,000 here thinking this looks great. I'm adding aggressively. I like it. I'm not going to make the mistake I made the first time of, getting in and coming out very quickly. Well, look at how fast it takes a turn for the worse. Right, so I'm in 6,000 size. This is only about $6,000 worth of cash. The thing is with this stock is that you'd say, RT, okay, what are you looking for in terms of risk? 29 at VWAP here. I'm expecting us to, at the lowest, to go to 29. So when I first see this drop, I don't sell it immediately. Because if we go to 27 and then it bounces back up, no big deal, who cares? But then I start to see, no. This is kind of too much. So I'm like, all right, I got to cut this loose. I view this as a great trade. I cut it loose. And there's my first, like $500 loss. They happen quick. They happen pretty quick. That's an 8-cent loss, 6,000 shares. All right, let's pull up the calculator here. All right. My math is no good, so I'll use the calculator. 6,000 times 0.08, 8 cents. $480 loss. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that, now we're down 384 on the day. So that happened, and I'm like, man, okay, a bit of a rough start there. And when I took that loss, all I could think of is, man, you botched the first trade so badly. If I took the first trade properly, we should have at least made a minimum of 480. So at this point, I should have been at $0 instead of red. I did think about that in my head. I'm like, ugh, you kind of, it's like, RT, you kind of screwed up on that trade, and so you didn't get the offset you needed. Because if I'm green, being break even is better than being red. If I'm green 480 and I'm flat, it's kind of like, who cares? I'm not red, right? We want to be green, but it's like if you're not green, at least you want to be flat. If you're not flat, then okay, at worst case, then we're red. So let's see, VNGO, I thought I might have saw something there, but apparently I didn't. So we switched away, we came back, and this is where things got a little tricky. So I thought, okay, we had a bearish engulfing candle with a rejection of 45. A lot of times you guys will hear me say, hey, I think this is a short, and I think it'll go to such and such levels before rejecting. I thought at best this would go to 35 before rejecting. This was too early of a short, I think. I should have never took it so low. It was just too early. The 500 shares here was just too early, too soon, and that's going to be my mistake here. If I think it can go to 35, I have to be patient to wait. 35 was my stop. And, really and truly 33 is the highest I thought it was going to go, but I said 35 in my mind. And look at this, right? If I was more patient, so you can see I'm at 1,000 shares at 27, short. Right here is where I could have probably took my first starter, right there, at 32. 32, instead of being in at 30, you know, at 27 and 26. 32 should have been my first entry. I needed to be a little bit more patient, man. I can't believe I botched this. This is me botching it, you know, because it's just too early. It was just too early. Too soon. It was the right idea, but too soon. But anyhows, so I add here 34. And this is where, you know, if my average is higher, I'm looking great. If my average was 33 to 34 here, I would have stood a much better chance at not getting stopped out here. I said 35. It already hit 36 once. So right here, when I saw that 36, I'm like, okay, if it breaks over 36, I'll cut I'll cut it loose for a loss. So watch this. It's gonna go to 37. It hits 37 here on the asks, and it stops me right there. Stops me out. Could have been avoided, man. You know, disappointed in this one. I needed to short this higher. At this point, to the short side, you might say Relentless. This green volume is higher than this red volume. The way how I'm looking at this is a reset to this, and this is in favor of the short side, is what I thought, because of the candlestick here of a bearish engulfing. This red candle completely engulfs this green candle despite having lower volume. So I thought this was weak, and volume here at 50 versus volume at 35 was much lower. So I just needed to be in. I think if my average was 35, there's no way I stop out of this trade. And I believe it comes down before it curls back up, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong here. Yeah, there we go. It comes to, and there, that would have been, this right here would have been my winning trade, 10 cents. 4,000 shares, 10-cent winner would have been 400. Oh man, when I watch this stuff back, it kills me. It kills me because it's just the decision making real time. I know 35 is what my stop is, but I'm buying it too soon. 27 is too soon. It's too far away. It's too far away. I'm not giving myself enough of a room if it does end up going a little bit higher than I think, and that's exactly what happened, and it stops me out. It stops me out by 2 cents. But I should have been much higher average, and I would have caught this trade easily. You know, when I look, and that's why when I do look at this $700 red tape, it does not bother me in the slightest. You know, it's just minor execution issues. It's mistakes. You know, mistakes. It's like my older brother's a big FIFA fan, a big soccer fan, and it's, you know, he's telling me that 90% of the goals that are scored are mistakes on the defense. And today I just had some mistakes and some kinks in my armor, and I allowed the water to seep in. You know, I left myself vulnerable. You know, you guys know I love the military analogy. So I left myself open to attack here, and that's what really happened. And the market is sometimes unforgiving, most of the time. So when you mess up, the market is there to get you, right? Because the market is competitive. I am disappointed after doing this recap here, because now I'm really seeing that I stood even much of a higher chance at being green than I thought I did. Initially, I thought that, okay, maybe I didn't stand that much of a chance. But looking back right now at this charting, oh, come on. This was taking candy from a baby if my head was on straight. The analysis just needed to be slightly better. Slightly more patience. Patience on the long side on that first trade to hold. Patience on the short trade to wait. And boom, we have 2 winning trades. We would have still took that loss, we did. But remember what I said. We probably would have made like 480 or more if we were to hold. Right? So we would probably been flat. And then this right here would have put us into the green by 400. Now we switch over here. I come back. There's a surprise big green candle. And you know, there was a bit of an ABCD here. Pivot point around 29 right here over VWAP. And it just took off. I'm not sure what caused this type of move to happen. I don't know if some manipulation was going on. I don't know. Maybe a big buy or something. I didn't get to see the level 2, but the volume here was high on this engulfing candle. I mean, this is a serious candle, right? If you bought 29 or you bought this double bottom, you really did well into this high at 50. So we ripped through 45. It hits the pre-market highs of 51. You can see the candle here barely closed at 45. And so right here, I'm going to try this pullback trade. It's not going to work out well. So I'm long here. I'm long at 40. I'm gonna add to this. Oh, hold on. Let's see, where did the ad come? I thought this was a great entry too. We pulled back to 40 here. It's gonna come down to 40 again. Seems like I got a great fill there in this particular trade. The ad. So I'm in at 39.95. I'm in about at, I think, 41. We get an average of 40. And right here, Relentless. Hey, what are you looking for in this trade? Right? I'm expecting this pullback here to hold up. It's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky because we already had one dip, and it's like the first trade that I took the loss on. But you guys know I trade the first dip and then the second dip. So we're getting a bottoming wick. I'm looking at this as a second dip. Can we get to 45 and then 50? But my target here is high of day. And so, you know, it's a decent trade. It starts to push up initially. You know, I'm green like 120 there versus the bid. It's going to go to 44 here, and I'm watching, and I'm watching, and I'm waiting. And look at how fast it's going to come down. So, and right here, I'm going to actually look to scale out. I'm going to put an order at 46 to scale out, I believe. Or maybe it might have been 44. But it's going to come down very fast. So look at this. I'm going to have to cut this trade flat here. And I'm actually taking a loss, right? So I'm taking a loss as it's breaking down. So, you know, I'm not really panicking out of the trade these days. So, you know, it does open me to being in as some weakness is coming in, because I'm trying to give the stock a chance on my A quality setups. The first and second pullback, I'm trying to give it a chance, but this is going to go lower here. It's going to go lower, higher low, new lows, lower lows. And then I believe it just did a surprise curl again somewhere. Spoke a little bit about the chat room there. We had some trader view stuff. We talked a little bit about bigger red days and how our green days could be better. Yeah, looking back at the recap here, there's no excuse, you know. This is the fine line of a trader. This is the thing with the market. It's like this money is here to be made, but the money is here to be to lose as well if you're not on your A game. And you know, some slight mistakes cost me here dearly. The open trade, the lack of the entry at 36, and I hit my hotkey just not hard enough here, so that's more than disappointing. This trade, I think we would have took regardless. It just happened to have been a flush down. Okay, I'm fine with that. But then the short trade, like to be in so high, also low, it's just, come on, kid. This should have never happened. This loss should have never happened. There's no way this should be a losing trade. If we're patient, we wait for 34, 35, we are in the money. Because now, if I'm average higher, my stop in theory should still be the same. But you know, it's one of those situations where you have more leg room. You have I would have had 3 or 4 more cents of room. Not saying I would have wanted to see it go to 40, of course, but I wouldn't have been, you know, just like the trade we just looked at, I wouldn't have been so quick to sell. You know, I know this trade is, you know, if I'm in at 40 and I'm selling at 38, I don't really care. It's a 2-cent loss. But if I'm in at 30, 32, and it's at 37, then, you know, start looking like a 5-6 cent loss. It's kind of a big loss. You know, that's how I view it. But the 2-3 cent loss, you know, who cares about that stuff? Nobody. That's perfectly in range for what I'm looking to risk. It's when I take that bigger loss, aka a flush, or in this case a squeeze, what would really get me. When I take a loss because the stock gradually comes down and stops me out, I don't even look at that as a loss because it was already accounted for. It's when we flush down below the level quickly, you know, aka this first trade, I'm expecting a stop at 29 instead of out at 25. That additional 4 cents is what kind of like rubs me the wrong way, but we understand why it happens. It's the markets. It's part of the deal. So even this doesn't really bother me, but it's like, oh, come on, we took slippage. That's kind of how it's viewed. So looking back at this is a solid day. We just needed to tighten up a little bit, and we could have done much better. There's nothing like doing a recap. In the moment I felt like, a little tight, a little tricky day. Looking back at this day was here for the taking. I just botched the trade. So this is not going to happen to me often. In fact, I doubt this happens to me tomorrow. I'm confident in myself. Of course I am, right? I have to be. I don't think this will happen to me tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll be just as aggressive, right? So we're gonna come in, we're gonna do better analysis, we're gonna have a good day. It's as simple as that. So not gonna overthink it. We're gonna come back tomorrow and give it another go. So with that being said, guys, hit that thumbs up button if you're a new viewer. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll be live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, so stay tuned for another live stream. It's been Relentless Trader. Check out those links down below. And your boy is signing out.